Hey guys, did you know that the FE in S20 FE stands for Fan Edition? Clearly for Samsung India, it sounds more like Flop Edition because they first got the 4G variant of this phone in India and it was horrible. It had overheating problems, the battery was not that great, but because our great YouTubers promoted the phone so well, people bought it and then immediately regretted it. Even Samsung is regretting that decision right now because if you go and check some articles, they're planning to discontinue the production of the 4G variant and that is why they've got the 5G variant in India now. So if you got the old S20 FE with the Exynos processor, I'm sorry, I cannot help you get your money back. But next time, please make sure that you double check before you trust a YouTuber. Anyways, today we're going to review the 5G variant of the S20 FE. It was finally launched in India last month. I have been using it for a month now and I think this is one of the great phones you can buy for around 45,000 rupees. Seriously man, this is night and day better than the old 4G variant and I have no problems in recommending it. So let's get started with my review of the Galaxy S20 FE 5G. But if you're on my channel for the first time, then welcome to Gizmodict. My name is Nimit and I know I don't upload here much, but I guarantee you every time I put out a video here, it's gonna be of high quality, it's gonna be very detailed, and don't worry, I'm not selling my soul to Samsung. Let's get started with the review now. So we're gonna start off by talking about the heart of this phone, which is the Qualcomm Snapdragon 865. Apart from that, everything else is the same with the 4G variant, but this is the one thing that makes a complete difference on this phone. The Snapdragon 865 has none of the problems of the old S20 FE. You don't have overheating issues, you don't have battery drain problems, and overall, the experience has been buttery smooth. Be it opening multiple apps or switching between them, or the memory management, app opening speeds, everything has been so great. And the 120Hz display has been buttery smooth here. I've never faced a lag or a slowdown, and overall everything feels a lot more optimized, a lot more smooth, and majorly I don't have any overheating problems. The 4G Exynos variant used to overheat sometimes when you used to download multiple apps or you used to game or if you are on a video call, but none of that happens on this phone and that makes a night and day difference even for an average user. If I talk about gaming, even gaming is better here compared to the Exynos 990, but here I wouldn't call it the best gaming phone. I'm a big time PUBG player, I make a lot of PUBG reviews, and I feel the optimization that we have on OnePlus and Asus devices is still better than what we have here because in PUBG I could still see frequent frame drops on the S20 FE 5G which was not visible on a OnePlus phone. So if gaming is your priority, I wouldn't suggest you to buy this phone. OnePlus is better there, but in day-to-day usage and everything else, this is great. And the same is true about the battery life. Because I've read reports of the Exynos variant where people used to barely get around 4.5 hours of screen on time. But thankfully, this one is a lot more optimized thanks to the 865. And here I can easily get around 5.5 to 6 hours of screen on time on 120Hz on 75 to 80% brightness. And it's great. I mean, the OnePlus 9 Pro gets me around 4.5 to 5 hours of screen on time. So this is much better than that. And I can easily get through one working day. So I am not complaining about this. The only thing I'm going to complain about is the charging time here because Samsung, although supports 25 watt charging, it gives you a 15 watt power adapter inside the box which charges the phone very slowly. It takes at least 1.5 hours to go from 0 to 100%. So that sucks on a flagship phone. But then Samsung is still giving a charger, so I don't think I should be complaining much about it. But still, the charging speeds could have been improved because OnePlus and all of those devices charge within like 45 minutes. So definitely charging speeds are a bummer here, but the battery life is great, no complaints there. And apart from these two things like battery and performance, everything else is very similar to the 4G variant of the S20 FE 5G, which is not bad to begin with. I mean, if I talk about the design and the build quality, I like the form factor of this phone. It's not very big, it's not very tiny. You can easily use it with one hand. And if you talk about the build quality here, the plastic on the back is not a cheap feeling plastic that you get on mid-range Samsung devices. It has a matte finish. You can get it in a couple of cool colors and it doesn't attract a lot of fingerprints and it doesn't attract a lot of scratches either. Other Samsung devices I've been able to scratch the back within a day of normal usage, but here thankfully I haven't seen any scratches, so the quality of materials is not bad and the frame is actually metal. You've got an aluminum frame. Quick tip to find out if the frame is metal or plastic. If you've got antenna bands on the frame, it's most likely metal. So here we've got a metal frame and overall the build quality of this phone is good. I personally don't have any complaints with it. On the front, you've got a 6.5-inch Full HD Plus display with a 120Hz refresh rate, and it's a Samsung display, so it's one of the best in the segment. I wouldn't call it the best, it's one of the best because I found the display panel on the OnePlus 9R to be slightly better than the S20 FE. Now don't get me wrong, this one's not a bad panel, but when you're playing HDR videos, I found the dynamic range to be slightly better on the OnePlus 9R compared to the S20 FE. But if you don't nitpick like I do, for a normal user, it's gonna be a great display. It's AMOLED, so you've got deep blacks, the colors are well saturated, and it also supports HDR like I said, but unfortunately, it only does that in YouTube. Netflix for some reason hasn't whitelisted the S20 FE, so you can't get HDR videos on Netflix as of now. I don't understand what's the issue because the S21 gets it, even the OnePlus devices get it, even the Xiaomi devices get it. So I don't know why HDR is not available here, but that's something I thought I'd mention. Another problem that a lot of people were pointing out was that the brightness of this phone outdoors is not that great, but personally I never faced any such problems. When I was outdoors, I put the phone on auto brightness and the brightness was more than adequate for me to see things on the display. So while the brightness in broad daylight is not amazing, it's not unusable. You've also got an in-display fingerprint sensor here. It's very fast, quick, it's accurate, works 99% of the time. No problem there, and thankfully it's not an ultrasonic sensor like we see on the S series. It's an optical sensor, so you wouldn't have problem with tempered glasses or screen protectors or anything like that. The only downside about this display is that Samsung has used a Gorilla Glass 3 protection instead of a Gorilla Glass 5 or a 6, which I think is the standard now in phones of this price segment. So if Samsung could have just given us a GG5 or a GG6, that would have been great. Along with the display, the cameras are also mighty impressive on the S20 FE 5G. You've got a triple camera setup. There is no nonsense here. There is primary sensor, then there is the ultra wide sensor, and then there is a telephoto camera. Although one thing that really bugs me is that Samsung doesn't allow you to take portrait shots with the telephoto camera. And for anyone who knows a little about photography, telephoto lenses are majorly used for portrait photos, and Samsung enables it on other devices as well, like the S21 Plus. So I don't get it why we don't have it here on the S20 FE 5G. Maybe an update could fix that, I don't know, but if I talk about the camera performance, it's great. I've compared it to the OnePlus 9 Pro and I've compared it to the Galaxy S21 Plus here, and any day I would prefer the camera of this phone over the OnePlus 9 Pro. In daylight, as you can see, the S20 FE gets much more pleasing colors. It's more closer to the S21 Plus. The dynamic range is on point, and OnePlus 9 Pro just looks so bad in comparison to these two phones. I know some people will defend OnePlus and be like, oh, it's natural colors, it's the natural Hasselblad output. It's not, it's very cool, it's undersaturated, I don't like it. Samsung on the other hand does push the colors a little bit. Sometimes it makes the reds more red, sometimes it makes the sky more blue. My green t-shirt is a little bit bluish green here, but in the end of the day, when you talk about dynamic range, skin tones, and more importantly what looks more pleasing to majority of the people, it's gonna be the Samsung phone, and the S20 FE 5G does really well. The low light performance could have still been better. I do feel that sometimes OnePlus is better with the low light performance, but still the camera performance is more than adequate for 99% of the people, and you're gonna love taking pictures on this phone. The ultra wide camera is also great, good processing, no complaints there. The dynamic range is very good, so are the colors, and Samsung has been doing really well with their cameras. Even though these are just 12 megapixel sensors, they perform very well. The only place where you will feel a little bit of a pinch is with the front facing camera, because the quality is not on par with the Galaxy S21 Plus. As you can see, sometimes the skin tones can be a little bit dull, and overall I preferred the output of the S21 Plus more compared to the S20 FE 5G. So the front camera is a little bit of a downside, but the rear cameras are clearly very impressive for this price, and you won't be complaining. You also have 4K recording options here. You can go up to 4K 60 FPS, so that's great. Samsung hasn't compromised anywhere, and you also get a couple of other features like single take, which I never used, but if you want to, you can use it. And because this is a Samsung phone running on a Qualcomm processor, you also get support for Gcam. I personally didn't use Gcam that much because the stock camera processing is so good on Samsung, but still, for some reason, if you want to use Google Camera, you have that option on this variant because it's running on Qualcomm 865. So good cameras, good battery life, good display, good performance, and the deal even gets smoother with the software. If you see, this phone is running on Android 11 based on One UI 3.1, which is the latest UI from Samsung. And on this phone, you get the complete One UI feature set. So you've got Knox security, you've got a lot of other things like Samsung Pay, blah, blah, blah. Basically, you've got a complete flagship experience of One One UI. And to be honest, One UI lately has been performing very well, and Samsung has also been very good with updates. Now I don't know how many updates will this phone get, because Samsung has promised 3 years of updates, like 3 major upgrades and 4 years of security patch. But because this phone came in 2020 globally with Android 10 and it was updated to Android 11, so I don't know if the 3 updates are Android 11, 12 and 13 or 12, 13, 14. I guess only time will tell. But the fact is, One UI 3.1 works great. It's very feature rich. You've got tons of features. Plus, it's very stable. It works very well on 120 Hz. I didn't face any stutters or lag. It's great. Plus, like I said, Samsung has been doing great with the updates. And in fact, initially OnePlus used to do better with the updates as compared to Samsung. But lately, OnePlus has been a little bit patchy with their support when it comes to software. And Samsung has been nailing it quite a lot, even with their cheaper phones. So software shouldn't be a matter of concern. This phone actually also gets a couple of other features which are quite cool. First of all, you've got an IP rating. So there's an IP68 water and dust certification on the S20 FE 5G. Then you've also got support for wireless charging, something that the OnePlus 9 doesn't. And you've also got support for carrier aggregation. The haptic feedback is also decent. I personally found the haptics to be better on OnePlus devices, but these ones aren't that bad either. And you've also got a support for a USB 3.1 slot. You can connect this phone to a monitor or a capture card to capture your gameplay or use the DeX mode or something like that. So this is something I really value, because there are some other brands like Xiaomi, Realme, iQOO. These brands don't give you a USB 3.1 slot. Only these brands like Samsung, OnePlus and Asus do it. And I think every brand that sells a flagship should give this feature, because it actually comes in very useful sometimes. The call quality network reception was also solid on this phone. You've got support for dual SIM, or you can use one SIM card and one memory card. So there is a hybrid slot here. And because this is the S20 FE 5G, you do get support for 5G. And as and when we start getting 5G networks here, it will work completely well with this phone. Now I don't have proper clarity on what 5G bands do we get here in India on this phone, because Samsung doesn't mention it on their website. But if I check the S21 Plus or some other Samsung flagship, and if I check the international variant of this phone, you do get support for quite a lot of 5G bands. And Samsung, even on their mid-rangers, gives at least 4 to 5 5G bands. So I think you are covered here. It's not like OnePlus where there is only one 5G band and they'll enable more bands in the future. So I don't think you should be worrying about future proofing or 5G bands here, because you've got 3 years of updates and a couple of 5G bands. So this phone should last for 2 to 3 years without any problems. So then at the end of the day, the question arises, should you buy the S20 FE 5G in India? First, let me talk about the pricing. So this phone has been launched at an offer price of 47 or 48,000 rupees in India. But actually, if you're buying from the Samsung website, you always have some or the other deals. There might be some cashback, or sometimes there is some discount on an exchange. Let's not count that. But right now, if you buy it from the Samsung shop app, I think you can get 2 to 3,000 rupees of discount. And there is also this referral system where you can refer your friends with a code and they can get a discount. I'm gonna give you 1 or 2 referral codes in the description. Go and check and see if you can get a 5% discount. But basically, by applying some or the other discount, you can get this phone for around 45,000 rupees. And for that price, I think this is a very good phone. I know the gaming performance is not that great. So if gaming is your major priority, I think you should be heading towards the OnePlus devices. But for everything else, I think this is a solid phone. And if you like it, you can definitely buy this phone. It's not a complete basket case like the S20 FE 4G. Seriously, the S20 FE has completely gone from my trash list to one of my best list with the 5G variant. So yeah, I had a great time using this phone and I've got no problems in recommending it. If you enjoyed watching this review, then please let me know your thoughts and feedback about this phone in the comments. If you're new to the channel, then subscribe. If you liked the video, then like it. If you didn't like the video, then press the dislike button twice. And thanks for watching. I'll be back with a lot more videos very soon. I don't want to do a lot of traditional smartphone reviews here. It's going to be more about my experiences with different devices, maybe smartphones, maybe not smartphones. Let's see. But thanks a lot for supporting the content here. Stay home, stay safe. Please take care of yourself and mask up. Bye bye.